Hi everyone, maybe you're new to iPhone or just wanting to make sure that you know all the basics. If that's you, then welcome to In Yer Pocket. Hi, I'm Danny and this is In Yer Pocket. This channel is dedicated to helping people cut through the jargon and make technology that you've already got in your pocket work much better. So today we're starting with some real basics. We're going to get the look and the feel of the phone just right. Personalize it, make it just right for you. The first thing we're going to start with, we're going to look at the text size. We're going to make sure that it's not too big and it's not too small, and I'm going to show you how to change that. So first of all, let's go to settings. For those of you that don't know, this is the settings app. I suggest that everybody keeps this on the home screen because we're going to be using it a lot and it's something that people use all the time as well. Okay, so we're going to go to settings. We're going to go on display and brightness, which you can see there in the middle of the screen. And then halfway down there, you can see something that says text size. We're going to click on that. When we click on that, at the top of the screen, you can see some text, and at the bottom of the screen, there's a little slider. And you'll see in the middle there's a little button in the slider. If I put my finger on that button and I slide it to the left, keep your eye on the text at the top, you'll see that that gets smaller. And as I slide it to the right, you'll see that text gets bigger. Now that text size is indicative of what your phone's going to look like. What you'll now see is at the bottom, it says larger sizes are available in accessibility settings. So this is quite big text, but for some people with impaired vision, that text may not be big enough for them. So let's have a look. We'll go back, we'll go into the main part of settings, and you can see straight away all the text is bigger, and we are going to go to accessibility, which is now there in the middle of the screen. We are going to scroll down until we see display and text size. We're going to click on that. You'll see there near the top, larger text is currently off. If we go into that, again, there's a little toggle button at the top. Switch on that, and then at the bottom of the screen, you can see that we can now change the text size, and you can see quite how big that text goes. It's absolutely huge, and that will be indicative of what it's like across your phone. We could go into a note, for instance, and that text is really big. So we're not going to do that. We're going to go back into settings. We're going to switch that off, and then we're going to toggle that text size roughly to the middle there, which is where I typically like my text size to be. Let's come back out of accessibility, back into display and brightness. If we click back in text size, you'll see there we go, we're back in the middle again. So that's how I like it, but how you like it might be totally different. So back into display and brightness, you'll see there under the text size, we've got this little toggle button there called bold text. If we click on that, that button turns green, that means it's on, and you'll see that the text is bolder, it's darker, it's a little bit heavier, and you can toggle that on and off. I've seen people use that before. It can make it a little bit easier to read at times, but I like that off. Next up, we're going to have a look at the brightness, how bright your screen is. We're still within this section, display and brightness, so let's go back to that, and let's have a look there. And underneath the text and the bold, text size and bold text, we can see a slider there for brightness. I can manually change that there. I can also change that within Control Center, which we'll look at in a short time. Obviously, the brighter the screen, the more battery you're going to use. The darker the screen, the less battery. So make sure that you're comfortable with that. Don't have it too bright, it will burn through your battery. By default, it's going to automatically adjust the brightness. If you're in a very bright environment, it's going to have to be bright so that you can see it easily. If you're in a very dark environment, a room with all the lights off, it's going to be very dim. But again, you can override that at any time by adjusting the brightness. Underneath there, we see something called True Tone, and again, that's a little toggle switch that I can toggle on and off. True Tone adjusts the color temperature of your screen. What does that mean? Well, a low color temperature is like blues, where the screen will look bluer, and a warm color temperature is where the screen will look a lot redder. And if you've got that True Tone toggle switched on, which it is by default, it will automatically adjust the colour of your screen based on the environment that you're in. So if you're indoors, which is typically very warm light, the screen will be redder. If you're outdoors, which is typically quite cold light, it will make the screen bluer. It will do that automatically. Most people have that switched on. It's really useful. But if you do want that off for whatever reason, then you can do that. Okay. Next up, we're going to look at the keyboard. I mean, the keyboard is the major interface of the phone. It's how you're going to send text messages, emails, you name it. You're using the keyboard all the time. So let's make sure that that keyboard is set up just as you like it. Okay. So the first thing to say is that on a keyboard, there are a couple of things turned on by default. One is haptic feedback. This is a little vibration on the phone as you type a letter. You can feel the vibration through the phone. It lets you know that that letter has been typed. The other thing that's switched on by default is a sound. There's a little clicky noise as you type. Some people find that really useful. Some people whose phone it's not find it annoying, but it's your phone, and some people find that really useful. It is just more positive feedback to say, yeah, you've typed that letter. You can hear it, you can feel it. Some people prefer one or the other. Let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go back into settings. We're going to scroll down till we see general again, and we are this time going to find the keyboard. And when we find the keyboard, halfway down there you can see haptic feedback, and we can toggle that on and off just by hitting that little toggle button, and the sound is there, and we can toggle that on and off, and that's how we adjust that. Get that just right for you. Don't worry about what anybody else says. This is about getting the phone right for you. Okay, we're going to have a look inside the keyboards, and we're going to look at the different languages that are available. Many people speak multiple languages. If you've got your phone set to one language, that can be a little bit annoying because it's trying to auto spell words in a different language to what it thinks. So still within the keyboard setting, right at the top there you'll see keyboards, and we click on that, and you'll see that at the moment there's English UK and there's emoji. First of all, let's just click on English UK. You can adjust the layout. Most people want a QWERTY keyboard, certainly in the UK, but there are other configurations of that keyboard as well that you can click on those and you can use that configuration. Okay, we're going to look now at adding a different language keyboard. Now there are a couple of ways to do this. Now the first way that we're going to do is we're going to click on add language, and we're going to go down to French, and again when we click on that, it is going to give us the different keyboard layouts. Let's click on that one there, and at the moment that is set to bilingual. Okay, so if we now go into something where we've got a note, let's just say that, I'll come out of that, that's very big. We'll go back to that, and you'll see at the bottom, on the bottom right, you can see EN and FR in the bottom right of the space bar. Yeah, EN, English, FR, French. That's telling you that the keyboard at the moment is set up for both French and English. Okay, we can test this. We can type je suis, and that works fine. We can also type I am, and that works just fine as well. Okay, so that's a bilingual one. For other people, they may want it separate. They may want to have keyboards separate. They may just go into them every now and again. So the other way is to add a separate keyboard. So let's have a look at that. We go back in. It says that we've got a bilingual one. We're going to delete that. We're going to go back into the main bit of the keyboard, and we're going to add a new keyboard. So we're going to select French again. And you'll see there at the top there's a little green tick in add to English keyboard. That's what we did previously, but this time we're going to add a new keyboard, and you can see that we get the selection of the layouts. These are probably more French layouts. I'm going to click QWERTY, There's QWERTY French. I don't know what the difference is, but I'm just going to stick to normal QWERTY just so that it doesn't throw any curveballs. Click OK. You'll see now that we've got those two keyboards set up. So if we go back into our note and we set the keyboard to English, which it is, and we type Je suis, you'll see there that it's underlined the suis. It doesn't recognize that word. It thinks that that's something that's spelt wrong. We can go back into French. We can do that as a French word, and there you go. We type Je suis, and you'll see now it's not underlined. It recognizes that word. It's even predicting French words on the predictor there. So je suis à l'école. I am a school, which, you know, some people may say is right. So that is how we change languages on a keyboard. There's a lot more that we can do on a keyboard, and we will do a future episode just on keyboards. Okay, so now we're going to look at Control Center. First thing, what is Control Center? Well, Control Center is just it's just an area of the phone where we can keep little different shortcuts to different functions of the phone, yeah, such as the torch, brightness of the screen, which we've looked at already. And many people either don't know about Control Center or they leave it as default. And even at default, it's quite useful, but we can do a bit more than that. This is about trying to personalize our phone. So let's look at that. So how do we get to it to start off with? Well, depends what age your phone is. If you've got a phone without a home button, you'll swipe from the top right, and you see that that comes down, and that's Control Center. If you've got an older phone with a home button, the little button in the bottom middle, then you swipe from the bottom. Either way, that will bring up Control Center. Let me just swipe past that because that's my ultra organized one. That's my own personalized one. Here's one that looks relatively like the stock one would be, quite similar, maybe not exactly, but this is Control Center, and what you'll see there is some little circular buttons, some big rounder buttons, and some oblong shaped buttons. Okay, let's have a look at those in detail. So really, Control Center is just a place where we can click on these things. Treat them as like as an app almost. The one with the torch on, we click on that, it turns the torch on. Simple as that. Click on the calculator one, and that brings a calculator up. Yeah, simple as that. If we then go back into Control Center, you can see that there are other things there. There is the brightness slider, so we looked at that before. We can slide that up and down. This is a volume slider. Up in the top left, that's the connectivity. You'll see there's Bluetooth and airplane mode. You can either click on those directly within that bigger thing, or you can hold on that big widget and then it expands and you get a little bit more functionality. You can see you can go to the Wi-Fi and you're kind of within it there now. That's the very basics of Control Center. But what we want to do is add a little bit more to the Control Center, and we want to personalize it a little bit. So the first thing that we do is we open the Control Center and we click on the screen and long press somewhere that's not on one of the little tiles. Okay, and you'll see that those tiles change. You can see now that there's a little minus sign in the top left. If we click on the minus sign, then that widget disappears, and you'll see in the bottom right of each tile that there's a little semicircle, a little quarter circle there. If we touch that and hold it, we can make that widget bigger. Some go bigger than others. If we want those bigger, and you can see that that's that's something that's available on some of those and not others. So that's a very basic adjustment. However, what we want to do is look at, well, what can we add to Control Center? Okay, so let's do the same. Let's long press somewhere that's not on those, and let us look at adding a control. So we're going to add a control, and suddenly we get this screen pops up where we have got hundreds and hundreds of different things that we can add to Control Center. I am absolutely not going to go through these now. I will do an episode later where we'll look in more detail at the Control Center, but you can see there are all these things here. We got rid of the torch before, no worries, we can add it back in there. There it is, it's back on my screen. Click Add Control again, and we can click some other ones. Now, a lot of these are the stock Apple things. These are controlling things within the phone itself. Dark mode, stopwatches, timers, that kind of thing. There are some other useful ones. Recognize music there, Shazam as it used to be, is a great one. If you add that to Control Center, click on that. Whenever you click on that, it's going to listen, and if there's music playing and it recognizes it, and it's very good at doing that, it will tell you what the song is, basically. Yeah. So if you click on the Shazam button, it will then listen. You can see it's active now. It's listening. I'm not playing any music at the moment, so it doesn't recognize it. But if I was, it would show you what that music was. Okay. Let's go back into Control Center and just have a quick look at some of the others. There are all sorts of things in there. As I say, stopwatch, dark mode, scanning codes. More recently, Apple has allowed third-party apps that are non-Apple apps to have some functionality within Control Center. So you can see there, ChatGPT and Claude have got some things that you can put in Control Center. Some other apps there that I use. This will look different for everybody depending upon which apps that you've got. But what I suggest you do, there's all sorts of accessibility features in there. I think that's at the bottom there, that you can add on. You can put things like translate live speech and so on, which might be really useful at times. There's all sorts of things there. I just recommend people go away and have a play about with that and see where they get to with it. It's, as I say, I think for me, I'm forever changing what I've got in Control Center. I might find different things that I want. It's things that I want to use, but I don't want them on the home screen, or they're not available on the home screen. So it's like a second home screen, really. But its great feature is that it's so customizable. You can get that to look exactly as you want it to look at. Okay, and the very final thing that we're going to look at for today is something that could save your life and could save somebody else's life, and that's medical ID. We've got so much information on our phone, but in an emergency, can people find that information easily? Well, that's where medical ID comes in. It's a brilliant little feature. It doesn't take long to set up at all. And once you've set it up on one phone, if you then change to another phone or another device, it's going to be there on those devices as well once you've set it up. So let's take a look at how we do that. Back on the home screen, back to settings again. Nearly everything's going to be through settings. We're now going to scroll down till we get to the bottom where it says apps. We're going to click on that, and then we're going to look for the health app. So if we scroll down till we get to the H's, and there we go, we've got the health app. Okay. Within there, you can see halfway down medical details. We can click on the first one there, health details. That's my name, that's my date of birth, that's my age, my sex, if I knew my blood type and so on, if I'm in a wheelchair. So that's the basic health details. You can edit those, go back in there. There is a button at the top there, edit, and then you just go in and change whatever you want to change. Go back, and then you'll see below where it says health details, you'll now see it says medical ID. Let's click on that. Now, this is the clever bit, really. So you'll see a little toggle there, show when locked. Okay, we can toggle that on and off. I suggest that that's on. That allows somebody to access your medical ID when your phone is locked, and I'll show you why that's important. And then share during an emergency call. If you call the emergency services, then your iPhone will share your medical ID. So again, I've got that on. And then as you scroll down here, you can add anything there, any medication that you're on, any allergies that you've got, whether you're pregnant, any conditions that you've got, your height and so on. But probably most important, or certainly very important, is your partner, your emergency contact. For me, that's my partner, Sarah, and that's got a telephone number there. So That's hidden within the phone, but if you remember, we've switched on show when locked. So how do we do that? So somebody gets my phone, I'm passed out, they swipe up from the bottom of the screen, Face ID is not working, and then there you will see where it says emergency. Click on the emergency, and then in the bottom left, as you can see, it says medical ID. Click on the medical ID, and here presto, there is all of the details. That's my name, my age, my emergency contact telephone number, and any other information that I'd put in there. So incredibly useful. That is, as I say, just something that I think is really easy to set up and could save somebody's life. Yours, or you knowing about it, could save somebody else's life. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a comment and spread the word. I'm Danny from In Yer Pocket. Take it easy everyone.